What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Wednesday edition of The Squeeze. I am your host, Tyler Conium. Happy February. We've gone through our first month here on The Squeeze doing this sort of full-time, every day, 6 days a week. We had a very good month. We finished 44 and 27, up 16.4 units on the month of January. So if you've been following along, that's probably pretty good. If you've been fading or following, it all depends. And day off yesterday, it's always good to have sort of a day off when you're betting every single day. You see the board a little bit better, so that is good. If you have been following along, I do thank you for that first and foremost, whether you watch or listen every day, whether you watch or listen once a week, whether you make the bets or you don't, I do appreciate it. And if I've helped you at all in the last month up these 16 units, it would be appreciated if you hit the subscribe button or shared it with just one person, and we can grow this channel, grow this podcast, and keep talking about sports. So, having said that, let's get into a Wednesday here on The Squeeze. I put on my Twitter last night because I was interested to see. I always make the bets at night, so if you follow along, you know I place my bets around 10 o'clock at night, and I film first thing in the morning, and I've been interested to see how the closing line value always seems to increase. So I put on my Twitter last night what the odds are, and every single one of them has increased. So each one is more favorable last night than it is now, but we are what we are. We're going to start in the National Hockey League, and we're going to start with the Boston Bruins at my home team, Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't often like betting against the hometown team, but I'm going to do just that. I'm going to bet against the Toronto Maple Leafs today. Boston comes into this 38-7. Toronto's 31-12. Toronto 20-4 at home, but Boston 16-6 on the road. Big factor here is that the Boston Bruins have lost 3 straight games. They lost 3-2 to Tampa, 4-3 to Florida, 4-1 to Carolina. Toronto's coming off a 5-1 win against Washington. Previous to that, lost 6-2 to Ottawa, beat the Rangers, beat the Islanders. Both teams are playing well, but the Boston Bruins are 38-7, and are they going to lose 4 games in a row against a team that does not have Austin Matthews? I'm going to bet that they don't. Allmark's expected to get the start in net tonight for the Bruins. He's 25-4 with a 1.9 GAA and 936 save percentage. Samsonov is expected to be in net for Toronto. He's been very good as well at 17-4. This is a little bit more of a feeler bet. I will say that the favorite is 4-1 in the last 5 meetings, which is Boston. The Bruins are, however, 1-4 their last 5 meetings in Toronto. You can take all the stats that you have. Maple Leafs 1-4 in their last 5 against the Atlantic. Bruins 9-1 in their last 10 after scoring 2 or less goals in their previous game. The main factor here is, do I think the Boston Bruins are going to lose 4 straight games? I do not, and I think it's a good spot here tonight against the Leafs, who will be without Austin Matthews. So I got this for -108 at North Star, taking the Boston Bruins on the money line. Moving over to the NBA, we're going to start in Oklahoma. So we're going to start in Houston. Visiting them is Oklahoma City tonight. So OKC 24-26 on the year, 9-15 on the road. Houston 12-38 and only 7-17 at home. Even though Oklahoma City hasn't been that great on the road, I still like them to cover. I got this for -5.5 last night at -110. It is now -6. So I mentioned the closing line value. It has shifted to 6 points. Pretty much the same bet, except there's a push potential there where a 6-point bet for me will win. So shop around for that. Oklahoma City's coming into this game playing well. They did lose by 8 points to Golden State their last time out, but they beat Cleveland. They lost to Atlanta. They beat Denver. They lost to Sacramento. They beat Indiana. They beat Brooklyn. They beat Chicago. They beat Philadelphia, all of those on the road. So Oklahoma City's been playing very well, led by obviously Gilgeous-Alexander. You look at Houston, they beat Detroit by 3 points, but I mean, that's the Detroit Pistons. Lost to Cleveland, lost to Washington. Houston Rockets are not that good. Thunder 6-1 ATS in their last 7 games following an ATS loss. They're 5-0 ATS in their last 5 following a straight up loss. They're also 4-0 in their last 4 playing on 4 days rest. Rockets are 0-6 ATS in their last 6 Wednesday games. 1-5 ATS in their last 6 home games, so they're not doing well against the spread at all. And then the big deciding factor as well, Jalen Green is out tonight with a calf injury. Kevin Porter Jr. is out indefinitely with a foot injury. So Houston doesn't have their 2 best scorers. I don't know really what they're going to be able to do. Like I said, they're 12-38 on the year. You take out Jalen Green, you take out Kevin Porter Jr. I don't know who's going to score for the Houston Rockets. So I like the Oklahoma City Thunder to cover the spread, -5.5. Got that for -110 at DraftKings. And our last bet of the day, should be a fun game tonight, is the Golden State Warriors at the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tip-offs at 8 p.m. so that you can watch this game if you're on the East Coast, and it should be a good one. Golden State 26-24. Minnesota 27-26 after a brutal start on the road for Golden State. They have now won at Oklahoma, won at Cleveland, lost in overtime at Boston, won at Washington, lost at Chicago, won at San Antonio. So their road record has improved. They were like 0-15. It's improved to 7-18. So they're much better now, especially after getting Steph Curry back. Klay Thompson's playing a lot better as well. Minnesota is 18-11 at home. So this is going to be a tough game. So what I'm going to do on this is just go with the spread. So I've got this at 238.5 at BetMGM for -120, and I like this game to go over. On this season, Golden State is the second best offense in the league. They're 29-18 to the over. Minnesota's been more of an under team at 29-24. They don't have Rudy Gobert, who's still out with injury, their main rim protector, and obviously they don't have Towns. No injuries to report currently for the Golden State Warriors. Over is 7-1 in the Warriors' last 8 road games versus a team with a winning percentage greater than 60%. Over is 6-1 in their last 7 after scoring more than 125 points in their previous game. And over is 5-1 in their last 7 following an ATS win. For the Timberwolves, the over is 9-0 in their last 9 versus a team with a winning record. When they play against each other, the over is 4-0 the last 4 times they played Minnesota, and the over is 8-0 in their last 8 meetings in general. So 238.5 is a high number, but when you look at recent matchups, and this is interesting. So the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, like I said, I think last 8 times they've played, it's gone over. 237, over by 14. 231, over by 12. 230, over by 9. 215 only over by 3, 223 over by 10, 235 over by 5. The trend is that every single one of these, except for one of the last 7, would not have gone over 238.5. Shop around. You can also pay a little bit of juice to get the number a little bit lower. I think it's 239.5, 240 at a lot of books. I did want to buy down to 238.5. I am comfortable with that, and I'm just laying 1 unit. I'm not going to pay the juice there, but I do like for this game to go over the total. Should be a great basketball game. Like I said, the second best offense in the NBA is Golden State. Minnesota's defense is ranked 19, so a lot of potential for a lot of points to be put up on the board here. So Golden State, Minnesota Timberwolves over 238.5, -120 at BetMGM. Let's run back down this card for Wednesday. I like the Boston Bruins on the money line, -108 at North Star Bets. I like Oklahoma City Thunder to cover, -5.5, -110 at DraftKings. And I like the Golden State Warriors and Minnesota Timberwolves to go over 238.5 for -120 at BetMGM, just laying the 1 unit on that. Feel free to drop a comment if you're fading or following. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Tyler Conium for more picks and props throughout the day. Just the picks portion is available on TikTok and on Instagram at Tyler Conium and at Squeeze Bets. As always, let's just talk sports.